Hi everybody, my name is Nat Semmler, and as Legend just mentioned, I am the Chief Services Officer for Squiz. So you would have heard both JP and Gav talk already about the promise of a DXP. Well, I am not here to promise you anything today. I'm actually just going to show you cold hard facts. We're going to recap on some of our products that we have at Squiz. We're going to have a look at a few of our recent developments in templates and design systems. We're going to look at about 10 different customer examples of what you're already doing with your DXP. And I've got two very exciting announcements where I get to pretend to be a product manager for a few minutes. So all of this is examples of what you can already do today with your DXP, and everybody in this room already has one at your fingertips. So no promises, just facts. Hang on, I have just gone the wrong way. So a quick product recap. So all of you would be familiar with Matrix and Funnelback, our content management system and our search tool. They've been the backbone of our business for many years, and I think everyone in here would be using at least one of those. What you're probably not all using is the next three products. So we have Connect for integration, Data Store for data aggregation, and Marketplace, which is a home of reusable things. And I'll just explain those a little bit further. So who in the room knows what an iPaaS is? Yep, fair few. Integration Platform as a Service. Basically, it's SaaS software that enables you to push and pull third-party data between different systems. Connect is Squiz's iPaaS. So it has a graphical user interface, which means you don't have to be a hardcore techie to use it. You still need a bit of familiarity with integration concepts. And it also comes with pre-built recipes to speed up builds. So this is basically pre-built configuration for a lot of software that you'd already be familiar with. Things like Salesforce integrations are already pre-built into it. Plus you can also customize, for example, your own internal third-party. You can integrate with internal third-party systems that you may have built yourself as long as they're API enabled. So that's Connect. Data Store is basically a way for devs to aggregate data into a single place, and then from there they can manipulate it into the shape that they need to do things like apply permissions at group or individual level, to do things like personalization and self-serve. It is a dev tool, but it does come with a whole bunch of pre-built configurations, which is called blueprints, so that helps to speed up your development time. And Marketplace, the home of reusable things. So things like those Connect recipes that I just mentioned, the blueprints, and the templates that I'm just about to show you, we publish them all into our Marketplace so that you can make use of them. So 3 products. So armed with that knowledge, let's go back and have a look at our DXP capabilities map. So as JP mentioned earlier, implied within the capability of building digital experiences is the ability to be able to do that quickly and easily and with high quality. And we're going to have a look at how we've used templates to do that recently. So, earlier generations of our templates, who here would have been familiar with Neo as a template? Yeah, there's quite a lot of hands. Okay, so a couple of years ago we invented a template called Neo, and we used that as a way of quickly publishing websites. It was pretty good for speed to market, but where it did fall over a bit was if we had to customise on top, it was a lot of work. Sometimes if we had to customise a lot, it was just as much work to do the customising as maybe what it would have been to build it from the ground up. So that was a bit of a problem, and the way that we addressed that was we built a new generation of templates, which I'll show you in a minute, and the problem that we sought to solve was to make them flexible so that you could both get speed and flexibility from that deployment. Julie's going to talk in a little bit about the future generation of template technology and what's just around the corner, so I'm not going to steal Julie's surprise there. But let's have a look at today's generation of templates. So this is Skeleton, what you're looking at here. So if you think of any website, they have a lot of commonly used components. So headers, footers, breadcrumbs, accordions, they're all examples of things that we could build over and over again, but that would be a waste of time and money. And it also chews into the time and effort that you could be spent doing really valuable things like personalisation. So we wanted to be able to build those things once, but then reuse them many times, but also be able to customize them. And so the idea of a skeleton component is it's a piece of functionality. So for an example is an accordion. And we can deploy that either as a single component into a website, or we can group it all together and deploy it as a whole website, as per what's on the screen here with skeleton. Now that is design free. So think of it like a whole bunch of functioning wireframes. And those wireframes inherit the design attributes of the site that you injected into. So you can build bespoke designs and slide them in underneath all of these components, and then they will display using your design. But we know that sometimes you need to just do things in a hurry, and you can't wait to do a custom design, or you want to give something a slightly different look to, say, your big corporate site. And so we have built Raptor. And Raptor is just skeleton, what you just saw before, but with a pre-existing design built into it. So that just gets us to speed. You can still change things like colours and a little bit of layout, but if you want to go really, really custom, then skeleton's probably going to be your best friend. Both of these templates are backwards compatible to Matrix 5 and Funnelback 15, or you can use them on the latest stack, which means that you can come as you are, because that's part of our core philosophy, and make use of it today with your existing stack. Here are a couple of real-life examples. So how many council people have we got in the room? Yeah, quite a few. So you would know just how broad the range of topics are that councils have to cover. So you've got everything from cemeteries to libraries, building applications, there's a lot. And so one problem is that you could just build a massive corporate website with heaps of data in it, and people can just get lost in that website. But often what's a better approach is to group those subjects together and make microsites out of them. And that way you can deliver targeted information with its own slight twist on your branding, so that you can just publish these nice little microsites and then direct your users to the right website. So both of these sites are about environmental management. One is by Waverley Council here in Sydney, and the other is by Horizons Council in New Zealand. Both of these sites took 5 weeks to build. Now, websites like this a couple of years ago probably would have taken about 12 weeks. Why? Well, we probably would have done UX. We definitely would have had to do design. We would have had to do design cut-up. We would have had to build all the components and QA test them, load content, all of those things. We have built good design principles and UX principles already into these templates. Raptor has recently been VPAT certified for accessibility as well, so you can deploy it knowing that you're looking after your accessibility principles. So 12 weeks down to 5 weeks. It's probably not obvious as well, but when you get up to that part where you do QA testing, because we've already QA tested the componentry before we even made it a template, you have a lot less problems right from the get-go. So these are big time savers. In these cases, they were probably about half the time of what it normally would have taken us to build a website. Our personal best is 2 days to deploy a website from the moment we first knew about it to getting it live. And probably one of those 2 days was actually pulling componentry out, and because it was a very low amount of data. So there's a lot of variability here, because it depends on how much you customize as to how long it takes. But yeah, that website that took 2 days, we've done a similar thing in the past for the same client, and it probably would have taken us about 10 days. So 10 days down to 2 days, 5 times faster. I'm calling that a success. Now, both Skeleton and Raptor are examples of Squiz's own design system. So what do I mean by design systems? Well, many of you guys are already building them, just as we have built one as well. It's a centrally managed library of reusable functionality. It's built to empower your editors and your digital content creators to be able to be self-sufficient, but also maintain control of your brand. So it's especially relevant for larger organisations. So you've got your central brand, you've got a whole bunch of distributed editors and devs, and you're a bit worried that they're going to go maybe feral with your brand because you unleashed the devs. Where's Legend? Thanks, Legend. You want these people to be enabled so that they can do things, but you also want to protect your brand so that they're doing things with guardrails. this is a governance story, and we all know governance can be kind of arduous, but this turns governance into being something that's like an administrative burden to something that actually just empowers your end users. So, yeah, that's design systems. We've got several of our government customers who are doing it, and quite a lot of universities who are doing it now as well. And you can see some examples there on the board. So that's templates and design systems. And just to recap, they make it faster. Up to 5 times is our PB. That's pretty cool. They bake in good quality. Yep. And the other thing that I didn't mention is that they are also an inspiration library for your end users, or your editors, or your developers. Basically, anyone who's looking to publish something or design a user experience can look to your design system or your marketplace equivalent and gather up ideas. Now, this is a point where I get to put on my pretend product manager hat, because I do actually have something, speaking of inspiration libraries, which I hope that our university customers here will get excited about. I really love this example because it's something that we've put a lot of years of experience into. So all of the work that we've done with our education sector over the years, we've brought that together. We've brought together all the cool things that we can do with our DXP and really just made something that's like geeky UX heaven. So with a bit of a drum roll, I'd like to introduce you to our latest templated solution, Edify. So Edify is a student portal template. So we call it an experience accelerator because it's not a hard-coded product where you just get what you get and you can't customize it. We know that our universities are all different, but in a lot of cases you have some similar needs. So we've tried to pull together the similarities, but still leave you with enough flexibility that you can customize to be individual. So it uses the same skeleton framework that I was referring to give you the ability to apply your own design. It works on desktop and mobile, and it's also a progressive web app, PWA, which means that you can do things like make it available offline. It integrates with multiple back-end systems, and I'll show you those in a minute. And because of those integrations, we can personalise things like calendars, exam timetables, course info, credits. There's a lot of personalisation on this page. It's also got Matrix behind the scenes, so you can still publish pages, build up an IA, you can centralise your communications here or bring it in from third-party systems. And it basically is just giving you a personalised, unified student experience. Now, this is pretty cool because portals are really hard to build. Normally, portal projects take months and months. And we've pulled it together into just a single out-of-the-box experience that is powered by our DXP. And this is how it works. So architecture diagrams, fun. Over on the left, you've got Matrix and Funnelback, which is serving up the content, personalised content to your students. Over on the, sorry, that's the right. Your left, my right. Over on my left, you also have Connect, which was a product we talked about earlier, which is pushing and pulling third-party systems from things like LMSs, student management systems, customer relationship management systems, and they're using pre-built Connect recipes to all of those branded ones that we've got on the screen there. And as I mentioned earlier, you can build custom Connect flows for any custom back-end systems you have as well. We're using Data Store to pull that information together and aggregate it and then manipulate it into the shape that's needed to be able to provide, to personalise the content. So that's basically through permissions management at individual or group level. And it helps to render the page a lot faster because we get it into the shape it needs to be so that we can then push it through to the front end. So this is in Squiz Marketplace right now. And if you're interested, you can go in there and you can demo the whole thing. And then beyond that, if you'd like to find out more, you can have a talk to your account managers and they will show you the rest. So that is Edify, our templated student portal. So Edify is a really good example of the whole DXP in action. So it does personalisation, it's got automation, it's got governance baked into it, it does self-service, cross-channel. It's all going on with that one solution. But that's only a thing that Squiz built. It's not actually a real-life example. So let's have a look at a real-life example. This example has almost exactly the same architecture as Edify, and it's for our US customer, Computer Aid Inc. So Computer Aid is a tech services company in the US, and currently they have about 2,500 users and growing using this personalised intranet. It also has data store and connect at the back end. It uses multi-factor authentication using Azure and Okta, and it integrates with a tool called Workplace. Now, Workplace has a whole bunch of user attributes stored in it, and we use those attributes to personalise content such as calendars, just articles, news events, things like that. The welcome messages also change according to the time of day and the season. And it also has things like anniversaries and birthday, like work anniversaries and birthdays and those sorts of things in it. So there's a lot of personalisation going on here. Another portal is the Department of South Australia. Now, this is our Student Pathways project. So I have a Year 12 student who's just finishing her last exams tomorrow. And so I've kind of been living this world of trying to prep her for the workforce. It's kind of hard getting a 17-year-old kid interested and trying to think like, you know, what does it take to hold down a job, that kind of stuff. So this is about taking a government policy to help prepare our kids for the workforce and really just turn it into a tangible solution that helps them to be ready for that. So students can authenticate into this portal, and from here, among other things, they can progressively build up their CV and they can export it. They can look at jobs that employers are posting. They can take up work experience challenges and log how they're progressing through that. Yeah, there's just a lot of things going on in the portal. We did a lot of UX work to drive this as well. So Peter Krieg in the room there, his amazing team went out and did a lot of user interviews with students, wireframing all the way through to prototyping and testing those with students. And so this portal is really intuitive for students to get in there and start figuring out how to interact with their future workplaces. So that's Department of Education SA. That also has React apps in the background, and it makes use of data store to help pull information together and manage it and personalise it. Okay, Adelaide Metro. If I had to pick a favourite child, it would be Adelaide Metro. Who here uses public transport? Pretty much everyone. Keep your hand up if you come from SA or Adelaide. Not very many. Peter, just two. Excellent. So you guys have probably used this, and those of you not from SA would have used something very similar. This is the thing that you use when you're going home from work and you want to know when the next train or tram is coming, that kind of thing. In Queensland, it's TransLink. New South Wales Transport, would that be the New South Wales equivalent? Anyway, it's basically just, you know, it's simple. Like on the front end, it is simple. You want to go, where am I now? Where am I going to get to? That seems pretty straightforward. But if you think about a public transport network, behind the scenes, there is so much going on. There's multiple timetables, there's service outages, there's mapping systems, geolocations. There's a lot going on behind the scenes there. And because we have an amazing UX team, an amazing tech team, we had a great customer and a really good tech stack, we were able to take all of that complexity and leave that in the back end and just build a really beautiful, easy to use front end service for the public. It integrates with a lot of things. It includes AWS, Google. We've got multiple mapping systems, geolocation. There's an awful lot going on in the back. And yeah, the tech behind it has just made it so much easier to manage from an end-to-end perspective. So that's Adelaide Metro. Another one is Sienna. So this is another public website that shows that the force is strong with our DXP. So Sienna is a multinational telecommunications giant. It's based in the US. It's really big. So think about it like the world's biggest player in optical connectivity. So fibre optics distribution and networks laying, all those sorts of things. That's what Sienna does. They have a lot of websites with us, but I just want to zoom in on the multilingual functionality because the way we've built that, I think, is pretty cool. So Sienna has about 20 different websites in Matrix, and they've got a centralised structure of content snippets in there. And when editors publish content, that gets pushed from Matrix into Connect, and then from Connect, it gets pushed across to a third-party system, called a translation engine called WordBee, where it gets translated by real people. Once it's done, it comes back through Connect into Matrix, and then from there it gets pushed out to the relevant multilingual website, and we've just automated the entire translation process from end to end. Now, normally that takes, you're either using something like Google Translate, which you know sometimes is more like auto-confuse than auto-translate. And it also has an interface in the middle there, which allows you to see where each part of the translation service is up to. So as it's going through that journey, you can see the status of it. So this is great. It basically just means that you can automate that whole process end to end. You know you're getting good content. It's going out live. It's been QA tested. The whole thing is just working from end to end. And if you think about governance processes that would normally go into that, it would be a pain in the neck. And this is just automated now. So I think that's just a really good example of using a composed architecture to get something done. It's quite reusable as well. Okay, so governance. I've got another big announcement. So second time I'm putting on my product manager hat, and this is going to make governance seem pretty cool. I know it's hard to believe. But I would like to introduce you to our latest composed solution, which is our Web Archive, or WARC as we know it. All right, so those of you who remember rollback, or might still be using rollback, this is about 1,000 times better. For starters, it's a composed solution, so that means you can put it across the top of any website. It doesn't have to be Matrix, and it can take snapshots and store them for you. So when you're worried about if you have to go to court one day and prove what was on your website on the 7th of March or something like that, this is how you do it. But you can do it with any website. It includes third-party content. So if you're drawing in information from a third party and it's published on your website, some of the old ways of doing that, you wouldn't get the third-party content. Now you do. Because it's a composed solution, it sits on the outside of the CMS, which means that over time it doesn't build up and clag up your CMS and affect performance. It saves that information elsewhere so that it's isolated, and it's all fully managed by Squiz. So you don't have to work with third-party snapshot providers or anything like that. It's just all under one roof. Here's how it works. So you have Matrix. Upon either scheduled events or triggers, such as a page being published or something like that, that gets pushed through to Connect. And we have a premium web archive service that sits around Connect that takes those snapshots for you. Those snapshots then get pushed off into Amazon S3 buckets. And we also create a log, just in a Google spreadsheet. You have access to that log. So if you then want to go back and see what was published on that particular point in time, oops, hang on, I've gone too far forward. You click on you go into your spreadsheet with the logs, you find the date, you click on the link, and it restores your website to look something like this. So I just want to give a shout out to Queensland Health because they've been helping us beta test this for the last few months. It's working. And this is ready for action at the end of this month. So you'll be able to make use of this if you'd like it at the end of this month. And your account managers will be able to give you more detail about that if you would like to talk to them or me. Okay, so that's about my 20 minutes. Just do a bit of a recap. Today we have looked at a bit of a recap on our products. So we've looked at Connect, Data Store, and Marketplaces. We have looked at templates and design systems. So we saw Skeleton and Raptor and what some of the design systems that you guys are using. We looked at about 10 different customer examples, and we announced 2 things. Now, I feel like I should have a partridge in a pear tree, but I don't think it's quite that close to Christmas. But anyway, we got there. I could bang on all day about this stuff because, working with you guys actually really does just give us the opportunity to build so many great solutions. And I know that, my team gets really excited doing it for you, and we really enjoy working with you. So thank you for the opportunity to build such amazing solutions.